Now we're going to talk about Hive. First of all, we're going to define what is Hive. Hive is a SQL-like query which generates MapReduce code. It uses the HQL language. Hive is a set of libraries which was originally developed for use at Facebook. They were using Hadoop clusters, and they had analysts who knew SQL code, who did not know Java to write MapReduce, who wanted to get information out of those clusters. So they developed this library and language. And it's used widely with all kinds of customers who are using the Hadoop ecosystem. As I mentioned, it uses HQL or HSQL. Now, this is not the same thing as ANSI-compliant SQL, which is used with relational databases, and the subtle differences in the language are really important if you decide to use Hive in a production environment. There's a lot of overlap, 60 to 70% with ANSI SQL, but not 100% compliance. Also, the underlying execution of the query is quite different when running against a Hadoop cluster generating MapReduce job or jobs versus running against a relational engine. So the performance differences are something to be aware of as well. And this is batch, not interactive. What that means is there will be latency in the results. We've seen this in earlier movies, but it's really important to understand because it's a little bit surprising if you come out of the relational world. You expect that you'll write a SQL-like query and get a pretty quick result within seconds or minutes. And depending on the size of data that you're querying, it could be minutes or even hours before you got a result of a Hive query. And it is most often used in conjunction with HBase, which you might remember from an earlier movie, is an abstraction that you create over the top of HDFS data that puts it into a wide column store with a key and then a column that contains one or more values. So again, just talking more about HBase. This is a wide column NoSQL database. And the way that you implement this using the Hive set of libraries is with a create table statement. This is very much like a DDL statement in ANSI SQL. But again, it's a subset of what we're used to out of the relational world. So when you start working with this, you're going to want to read the documentation, because if you just try to use standard ANSI SQL, you're going to be frustrated. Once your table is created, the normal process of execution is then you'll query with Hive. Some considerations around using the Hive libraries with Hadoop include the following. The Hive libraries are integrated now with HBase. It's not a requirement to use HBase, but it's most commonly done. The Hive libraries do include the HQL language. It's not a separate library. And if you choose a commercial distribution like Cloudera or Hortonworks, those distributions include the Hive libraries. It's really only if you're trying to work from the open source Apache Hadoop distribution that you'll need to remember to download the Hive libraries if you want to include them in your implementation.